Programming drums can be a bit scary, especially if you're just starting out, and this is even more true for something like the kick. So today I want to show you a simple trick to quickly program kicks if you use Studio One. Okay, so let's talk kicks. When programming drums, I usually like to leave my kicks for last because unlike the snare or the hi-hat, the kicks have many different places where they can be programmed. On top of that, I would argue that kick placement is very subjective, so it can vary from producer to producer. Nonetheless, you still might want some help getting this right, and if you use Studio One, then man, do I have a little hack for you. Before we get started, if you're at the beginning of your production journey, or if you just need a little bit more clarity, then today I have a gift for you, and that is my 6-step guide to producing a professional beat. This is a simple PDF guide that you can use as a roadmap to produce a professional beat without breaking the bank in as little as 1 hour. All you have to do to get it is head over to ivancalderon.com/guide or simply click the link down below. Okay, so this trick basically allows you to steal kick patterns from another audio file and then use them in your own production. So say for example that you have a song that you really enjoy the drums in, or maybe just a drum loop that you picked up from a royalty-free site. This trick will let you take the kicks from that audio file and then convert them into MIDI so that you can build your own drum pattern around that. On top of that, this trick can also be used to replace kicks within a loop in the case that you want to use your own samples or just beef things up. Now, for this example, I will be using a drum loop and it sounds like this. Okay, so once you have your audio file inside of Studio One, all you have to do is go over to your toolbar at the top here, click on the Q icon, and then select Groove. Next, simply drag the audio file into this little area here, and let Studio One do its magic. At this point, the audio file has been converted to MIDI, and all you have to do now is just drag it over to wherever you have your drum samples placed. Usually in Studio One, that would be in something like Sample One or Impact, but you can use whatever drum sampler that you choose. Now, if we open up that track that we just brought down, we can indeed verify that all that information from the audio file has been converted to MIDI. The very last step in this process is to mute the VST, the drum sampler that we just brought it down to, while leaving up the MIDI track, and then listen to the original audio file to determine wherever the kicks land. We need to do this because Studio One converted all of the information, so in the MIDI file, we not only have the kicks, but also the snare, the hi-hats, and whatever else was in there. So then let's make sure that our VST, our drum sampler, is muted so we don't hear anything from there, that our original audio file is unmuted, and then that we have the MIDI up here. Now what I'm going to do really quickly just to make sure that we're editing precisely, I'm going to quantize all of this so they all land on the grid. And now let's take a listen. Now we're taking out anything that is not a kick. So I'm listening to see where the kick lands based on the audio file and the MIDI. So we got one here. There should be one here. There should be another one. Take this out as well. And that should be it. These are the kicks. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to select them all, drag them out to an actual kick sample. Let's verify first real quick though. Yep. Perfect. Now, once you have the kick MIDI ready to go, feel free to delete the original file and then proceed to program the rest of the drums to your own taste. Now, if you own my Beatmaker's toolbar, which you should, link down below, then it should be a piece of cake. Let's see what we can do. Now, what I'm going to do here to make this a little bit more interesting is drag in a little melodic loop from Splice just to kind of have something in the background playing. And what I'm going to do from here is I'm going to start with the snare. Now, we are currently in double time, so I'm going to do snares. I'm using sample 1, snare clap on 3, and we should get something like this. From here, let's go over to the hi-hat. I'm going to start with some simple hi-hats. I'm using sample 1, 1/8 notes. And then what I'm going to do here is let's go over to select every other note, reverse the selection, and let's bring that down to about 50%, get a little bit of a chugging motion. Now from here, we can spice up this hi-hat a little bit. So I'm going to bring this down to maybe a 30-second grid to create a little bit of some rolls, which will probably be right here, right before that snare. And then what we could do is let's raise the velocity of all of these, bring over our, what is this called? The transform tool. Select those, and then do a ramp up. As a matter of fact, we could probably just duplicate this so we get that pattern there. Now to spice it up a little bit more, often what I like to do is I like to bring in another hi-hat loop with a different texture, and then we could just like drop it in there, and we could have something like this. From here, we can just start to maybe maneuver this a little bit more to how we like it. I'll probably just leave like those little rolls and make it a little bit interesting. And there you have it, a custom drum groove built around a kick pattern that we took from another drum sequence. Now, as mentioned before, this technique can also be used for replacing kicks. So let's say, for example, that you like a drum loop like the one that we had here, but you don't like the kick sample, or maybe you just want to beef it up. You could very well take these exact same steps to isolate the kick and MIDI, just like we did, and then replace that with your own sample or layer something on top of that. From there, the only additional step would be to go back to the original file and then cut out the kicks if your intention is to replace them. Now, if you've gotten to a point where you are comfortably building your beats and you want to share them with others, then I want to tell you about today's video sponsor, DistroKid. DistroKid is a digital music distributor, and with prices starting at $20 a year for unlimited uploads, it is by far the easiest and most affordable way to release your music to platforms like Apple Music, Spotify, Snapchat, TikTok, and many more. Aside from the hassle-free distribution, one of my favorite parts about DistroKid is how much they include in your subscription for free. For example, within your DistroKid account, once you sign up, you will have access to an entire social media platform that they built for artists to share their music called Slaps. I like to come in here from time to time and just discover new people, listen to some brand new music, and just like I've been doing that, people can go in there and discover you as well. If you're ready to share your music with a broader audience, then consider signing up to DistroKid by visiting ivancalderon.com/DistroKid or with the link down below to get 7% off your first year. But that's it for me. Thank you once again to DistroKid for sponsoring this video. Don't forget to pick up my 6-step guide to producing a professional beat. And if you want a little bit more help programming your drums, then go ahead and click on this video right here. Thank you so much for your time, and I'll see you on the next one.